So we know people are leaving California and going someplace else. Well, do we know why they're leaving California? And do we know where they're going to? Let's explore that next. Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here, and today I'm just kind of going through some news stories here that started to piece things together. Well, first I want to find out why people are leaving California, and two, where they're going to. I found the answer to that pretty amazing. Let's check out some details. So first, we see that California unemployment claims are 1/3 of all the nation's unemployment claims. So that's pretty amazing. So a lot of people are not working and are getting that government money to not work. Governor Newsom, you remember him, he said that we're looking at a very optimistic picture and that he had economic recovery continues with 812,000 new jobs. So why is nobody working with all these jobs? Let's see, since 2018, California have seen 265 companies relocate their headquarters. So he's making jobs on the one hand, but all these businesses are leaving on the other. I wonder where they're going to. They're going to states with lower costs, fewer regulations, lower taxes, and a higher quality of life for the workers. I can kind of understand that. Next, we see that 4 cents a mile fee to drive in San Diego. So they're going to put some kind of a GPS monitoring thing on your vehicle, I guess, to find out how many miles you drive. And then they're going to be sending you a bill in the mail. I don't know. Does that sound pretty cool? I mean, 4 cents. Who's going to complain about 4 cents? Plus all the data they're going to get from you on when you drive, where you drive, how fast you drive, how slow you drive, where you're driving that you're not supposed to be driving. Quality of life in Sacramento compromised as crime escalates month after month. That doesn't sound very good. Increase in homicides, increase in shootings. Wow. I used to live in Sacramento too. It was never great, but it wasn't that bad, was it? The Golden State. Who's leaving California and who's coming in and why? Well, that's a good question. Let's explore that just a little bit. California on the surface is one of the best places in the world to live. Sure, I can see that. 5th largest economy in the world. What's going on here though? What's interesting to know is that higher numbers of lower and middle income individuals are leaving California, and those movers that are seeking better opportunities for work and more affordable housing. But higher income level persons migrated to California, especially for higher sought after positions. So your regular workaday Joe is leaving for various different reasons that we kind of touched on in the previous stories. And it's the high earning people are coming too. So really it's like the middle class is becoming non-existent in California. I found this story where people are in California are moving to the most really incredibly interesting. And I want to take a look at that. But first, I want to remind you that if you're thinking about moving to Idaho, if we're one of those that you're considering and you just need some more information, please let us help you. We can't help you though until you reach out and let us know that you need some information, you need some questions answered, maybe you need some guidance, just whatever it is. This is what we do. All of us here at the Treasure Valley Dave team have relocated, and we know the process, and we know that it can be a lot of work. And there's a lot of, because you don't know the answers, there's a lot of scariness. Well, we can help with some of those answers, and it kind of takes some of the scariness out, and then it becomes kind of exciting after a while. So that's pretty cool. So remember, give us a call, shoot us a text, email, whatever it takes, get a hold of us, and we'll be ready to answer all your questions and help you out. So let's get back to this story, where people in California are moving to the most. So I'd like to make this kind of a participatory thing. Some of these places I don't have a lot of context about. Some of them I've never been to. So maybe you could, in the comments, say why people might go there as opposed to someplace else. Number 30 on the list is Iowa. So I used to live right across the river from Iowa and used to go to Iowa quite a bit. And I can tell you that it's nice. It's pretty flat. People are friendly enough. The weather, I mean, so I'm from Nebraska, right across the river. We have tornadoes. We have floods coming down the Missouri River. We have brutal winters because that Canadian blast comes right down the plains all the way into Texas. So that's Iowa. Oh yeah, humidity in the summer. I mean, I'm not trying to drive it down or anything, but 100% humidity, 100 degrees, and you just go outside and but anyway, it's green. Probably has something to do with all that humidity. Next, New Mexico. That's kind of cool. My daughter was there for a couple of years doing an internship at the Opera House. It's kind of nice. It's different. I mean, it's more deserty as you'd expect. Number 28, Minnesota. I've had some clients from Minnesota. I don't know why. It is just cold up there. But there again, I think it's the kind of people that move there. They're that real hardy kind of people that they don't complain about anything. And they just, if it's 8 foot of snow and minus 20, that's just another day. And Wisconsin, I think we could throw that into the same boat. It's cold, but they got great people over there. I've known people that came from there, and just the salt of the earth. Speaking of salt, here we have Indiana. Guess what they put on their roads in the wintertime to help melt some of that snow? Right, salt. You know what that does to your car pretty quick. So on the plus side, you're going to be getting a new car every few years. That's nice. They have that big race down there in Indianapolis. So that's pretty cool. We don't have that in Idaho. And Oklahoma. Again, very nice. Some of the weather stuff is something I'd probably want to steer clear of, but a lot of nice folks down there. South Carolina, I've never been. If you know of anything about South Carolina, yeah, I understand. It's great. The people are real friendly. They might get a little bit of weather and humidity. Missouri, I've been there. Got family that lives down there. And it's kind of quite a bit like Iowa till you get to the southern part and you kind of get into the Ozarks a little bit. So that's a lot of fun. There's a lot of exploring with caves in the mountains. Well, mountains. Things to check out. Michigan, back to those northern cold. Did I mention cold? It gets cold up there. And keep on going. New Jersey. So we had a great family that escaped from New Jersey, and listening to the horror stories that they tell about what goes on back there, it's not a place that I would really want to gravitate towards. So I'm sure there's nice people there. Moving right along. Maryland. Don't have any experience with Maryland whatsoever. So if you got some good or bad things to say, please go ahead and leave some comments about that or any of these other places. I'm always looking forward to getting other people's perspective on some of these things. Hawaii. Now there's something that's not going to be cold, right? So Treasure Valley Marine actually lived in Hawaii for a few years. And then they left. And it was really kind of because of the cost. So that's the first time we've come across cost as an issue. But I guess it's where people from California might want to go. They benefit from selling their house at an all-time high. Massachusetts. There again, I don't have any experience with that other than I've got a friend that lives out there, not in Boston or anything, and he's the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet. I would imagine there's probably quite a few of those out there. They do get pretty cold and snowy. I mean, right there on the ocean, I would think. Maybe you could tell me about that. Tennessee. We actually thought that we were supposed to go to Tennessee when we left California. So we drove all the way out there to check it out. And we were there for probably 45 minutes. and we came to the conclusion that quick that Tennessee just wasn't for us. It was humid, sticky, bugs, traffic. It was just not what we were expecting. So we did get out into some of the small towns, and the people are just friendly as can be. But yeah, just phew. I don't know why, but we just had in our mind that we were supposed to be there. Ohio. Well, I've been through Ohio. I don't think I've ever stopped for any particular reason, but I know that that's in the Midwest, probably similar to like Indiana, which I have been to. Cold in the winter, muggy in the summer. Have you been to Ohio? Pennsylvania. I've been through it, but I've never stopped. I've got some good friends that live out there and in a small town, and they really love it. Next, Illinois. Okay, so I have been there, and it seems like, politically speaking, everything is run by just a few small areas, and then the rest of the state, like those good old farmers down in the south part of the state, they just have to take what they can get, plus the weather, plus the humidity, floods. But the people are nice. Well, some of them, I'm sure. Georgia. I've never been to Georgia. And if you could tell me about that, I'm going to imagine that it's probably fairly warm in the winter, but it probably gets kind of muggy in the summer. I'm not sure. But that's number 13 where Californians are going. Virginia, I'm going to say that's probably about like Georgia. Maybe you could let me know. I'm sure there's a lot more urban areas. Well, not that Atlanta's a small city or anything. Idaho comes in at number 11. See, now you thought everybody from California was moving to Idaho. Not so. We're at number 11. So don't think that Idaho's becoming another California, because we're not. But don't get me wrong, we do have some Californians moving up here. But this is not where everybody's going. But where is that everybody else? The bigger proportion of people are moving to Utah. And Utah is nice. There's that strip for like 120 miles over there on the eastern part between the mountains and the lake, the Salt Lake. And then it's just traffic for 120 miles. But other than that, it's really nice. Oh, they have weather too. I don't think they have as much humidity as the Midwest, though. North Carolina, another one of those, speaking of humidities, one of those states over there. I do have a cuz that lived over there, and it was always green. I think that has something to do with that humidity. Next, New York. Alrighty. So maybe this is a good point to kind of bring this up. There's a lot of people leaving California. We found out that it's the lower and middle class that are leaving California, and they're going places. I'm sure some of those people are of the, let's see, how can I say this, more conservative mindset, and some of them maybe the more liberal mindset. And so this is kind of like, I'm finding the conservative people are going to conservative places, and the liberal people are going to liberal places. So maybe a lot of the liberals from California are going to New York. There's one of these conservative places. I'll bet there's a lot of conservative Californians going to Florida, which I've got a friend that just bought some property down there, and I hear stories that, it's an absolutely great place. I do think they probably get some humidity, but if you're going to have humidity, you might as well be in Florida, right? Colorado. Got family out there. There's a lot of parallels with Colorado and Idaho. Next to some mountains, nice, great people. But you probably noticed that in the last decade and a half, Colorado went from being that conservative place like what Idaho is now, and has been flipped to a very liberal bastion. And that's what we're working so hard for in Idaho right now, is to make sure that that doesn't happen here. But as far as, say, the weather and things like that, but let me just throw this out there. I used to be a long-haul trucker, right? And I can tell you there's like 2 hours up and down Interstate 25 on either side of Denver that is just traffic all the time. So it's kind of like Utah in a way that there's a narrow band of place that you can live between the mountains and where people don't live. And that's like where everybody goes, is in that narrow range. Unlike here in Idaho, where we don't have that narrow restriction, we're kind of like spread out, which is kind of nice. What's number 5? Oregon. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Again, our previous conversation, there's people that are moving to Oregon maybe because of the political climate. I bet they're going to Portland. I can tell you though, a lot of Oregon, especially the eastern 2/3, 3/4, would feel right at home in Idaho. From the topography to the sense of just being a rugged individual. It's we have a lot of kindred spirits there. And maybe some of those people from California are moving there for that reason. Washington State. It's kind of like what we're just talking about with Oregon. The western part is different than, say, the eastern 2/3, and maybe people are just kind of like sorting themselves out. Washington, the whole Seattle area is nothing but traffic. Again, back to my truck driving days, it's just traffic. Nevada, now this is interesting. If you like the warmth, the high desert, the low humidity, and they do have, like in Reno or Las Vegas, a whole lot of stuff going on. It will get hot. I'm sure Las Vegas gets a lot hotter than Reno, but it's still a high desert. But if that's the kind of a topography that you like to live in, it could well be a great place to go. Nevada also offers the idea that you're still close to all your friends and family still in California, so you don't necessarily even have to fly back. You can just get in the car, and a few hours later, there you are. All right, what's number 2? Arizona. I'm going to say this is very similar to our discussion on Nevada, where it's low humidity. It's great for us old people that are just kind of done with humidity. And it's still a pretty quick drive back to, say, the LA area if you've got friends and family there. So I could see that. I can tell you, back to my truck driving days, that we had a terminal there in Phoenix, and traffic can get pretty intense in Phoenix. I'm sure that's the only place in the state that's like that, but there it is. Okay, now, number 1. That was my drum roll, sorry. Number 1 is Texas. No big surprise there, right? A lot of the jobs have gone to Texas. Texas is very friendly towards business, and the jobs from California left there, and a whole bunch of the employees followed them. So that certainly makes sense. The further south you get in Texas, the warmer it gets. So you don't have that cold blast that you're going to get through the Midwest, like Nebraska, Oklahoma. But there are parts of Texas that are, I don't know, say over along the Gulf. It's kind of moist and susceptible to hurricanes. You come back in further and you become more of a deserty as you get closer to New Mexico. It's just a big state, and it's got a whole lot of diversity as far as your topography and your climate and things like that. There are some liberal bastions there in Texas. You've probably heard of Austin being, I don't know, like a Seattle of Texas. But yeah, there's some great places there. But anyway, so that was our list where people are moving to. Idaho is not the number 1 place Californians are going to, but the Californians that are coming up here, I think they're really Idahoans at heart, which is the name of our Facebook group. Go check that out too. So if you're thinking about leaving California or any place else, and you're considering the Treasure Valley, go ahead and give us a call, text, email, whatever it takes. See what we can do to help you out. We've got information I said that we were so sure that we had to move to Tennessee, then we found out that we weren't supposed to go there. I want you to go through that same process. Maybe Idaho's not where you need to be, and we want to give you that information so you can make that decision for yourself. But maybe it is where you want to be. And then we'd be glad to help you find, I don't know, where it is you want to be, say here in the Treasure Valley. We have big cities, small towns, and they all have different character. We'd be glad to send you our Relocation magazine that kind of digs into each of these communities. But yeah, there's so much going on up here. We're helping people every single day, and it's such a thrill, and we just can't wait to help you. So give us a call, text, email. You guys know the drill. So, this is Treasure Valley Dave. Looking forward, as always, to helping you get home.